Little Nightmares. Whew, this game gave me a little nightmares after I finished playing it. Little Nightmares is one of my favorite horror games, mainly because it's such a unique experience. Think of how many horror games you've played. How many of them were generic, boring jump scare experiences? Outside of the Resident Evil franchise, I've never really been a fan of games in the horror genre, mainly due to the amount of cheap thrills and jump scares that are thrown in there, and also just because I generally don't like getting scared, especially when the main aspect of the thrill is a face popping up on screen for a few seconds just to make me jump back and go, oh my god! But Little Nightmares isn't like your generic horror game. It doesn't go for cheap thrills. It achieves horror without having to jump scare you, which is really an incredible achievement. The game scares you through its atmosphere, rather than a deformed face popping up on screen with a loud noise yelling in your ear. God, shut up. You're this little cute kid with a rain jacket on, cutely hopping around and just pitter-pattering on the floor until, oh my god, what in yay is that? Just starting out the game, you realize how much bigger everything is in comparison to your character. Just going from room to room is a platforming hell for this kid. You gotta jump on furniture, creep under beds, use cages as like ladders. The game's environment becomes a puzzle that you have to piece together. At one point, you have to drag a chair that somebody used to hang themselves with, because you can just barely see their feet, in order to use the chair as a way to gain enough height to open a door. Now that's how you do horror. Not through this garbage.
Oh my fucking god! What the fuck was that?
The sound design in Little Nightmares is top notch. From the sound the chair makes as you drag it across the room, to the howling wind and blowing horn you can hear just outside the ship you're on. Sound is also an integral part of how you need to get past some of the sections in the game. During one portion, there's this blind dude, and you gotta make sure to only let your feet touch carpeted portions of the ground. You can't just sprint across, otherwise he'll hear your feet hitting the wood and just come snatch you up. And sprinting away from him while he's chasing after you makes for a truly terrifying experience. Here's another little curveball that Little Nightmares throws at you. In horror games, you and the player character by extension need to be in danger in order for you to get that sense of dread, right? You need to feel helpless against the enemy, unable to damage them, with the only option being to flee from them as fast as you can, rather than being able to stand and fight. Violence is never the answer after all, right guys? But here's where things get tricky. How many of you have gotten pissed off while playing a horror game? You just straight up stop being scared and just end up annoyed that you can't get past a certain section of the game. I know that's happened to me. Freaking Dr. Birkin, I hate you so much, man. Just get hit by the stupid crate. Oh my god. But in Little Nightmares, I never really experienced that same sense of frustration. Every time I died or got snatched up, I learned something to make the next attempt to pass a certain section easier. I think Little Nightmares can still get a bit frustrating at times, but just as something begins to outstay its welcome, you're on to the next creepy encounter. And now, they're making a sequel. I didn't even hear about it until recently. Maybe I'm just out of tune with hearing about some of these new releases, but man, I feel like more people need to recognize how good this game is, and how much better the sequel is already stacking up to be. Looking at some of the recently released demo footage, I am insanely impressed. Seems like this time around, instead of playing as Six, or as I like to call her, Little Yellow Riding Hood, we play a sack boy, because he's got a sack on his head. Okay, but seriously, the gameplay and puzzles look even more interesting than before. Seems like there are way more interactable objects this time around, and during the demo, Sackboy gets caught in a bear trap, and you're like, well shit, how am I supposed to get past this? Wait a minute, you grab the stick and then... that's pretty cool. In some more recent footage that YouTubers have been putting out, we see Six boost little Sackboy here into a room all on his own, and by the time he comes back, Six is off doing her own thing, like playing with the prosthetics. I really like that little detail that the developers added in here. It makes Six seem like an actual person, rather than someone who's just following you around the whole game. There's a section where this creepy hand follows you around through rooms as you transition through them on some Mr. X type shit. I really love when horror games do this as well, as you feel there's really no safe place for you to hide, and really helps drive home the fact that, whoa, I might not escape from this thing. Okay, now get this part, it's pretty freaky deaky. Six boosts you into another room again later, and bam, the camera transitions, and the music goes, and there's a headless figure on the other side of the room, unmoving. Notice that there's a light in the middle of the room. Immediately, you know that you're gonna have to get past this dude somehow, but obviously, you're not approaching him right away. So you head on over to the switch to see what it does instead. Then the light starts flickering, and the more it goes out, the more movement that figure makes. Right up until the light breaks, and the dude starts charging at you. Oh my god! But as soon as you shine your flashlight on him, he stops moving. The game told you this as soon as you entered the room, since the creepy headless guy wasn't moving until you flipped the switch that broke the lights. But now, you gotta go around him while flashing the light at him. Here's the problem. Remember when I said that hand chased you through screens? Yup! He follows you into the next room, and you gotta keep the light flashed on him until you're eventually safe. But after throwing just one of them at you, then the game introduces multiple of these things to you at the same time while you're in a dark room. Jesus Christ, I love this game and I hate it at the same time. Anyway guys, if you haven't played the first one already though, go check that one out. You should definitely be hyped for Little Nightmares 2. And if you're still watching this video, what are you doing? Go play the game. Let me know what you think of it. But before you go, wait a minute. Make sure to like, subscribe. Otherwise, you're going to be having some nightmares from Little Nightmares tonight, if you know what I'm saying.